Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. In Season 2 of Hacks and Hobbies, we're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. In this episode, we get to speak with Mario Castelli. He's a driven, passionate individual that views the world through kaleidoscope vision. We're going to dig a little bit more on what that all means. But he is a recent graduate from Felician University, where he has a degree in English and a minor in history. He has a ton of experience with children, both in special needs, child inclusion, mainstreaming with individual education programs, as well as applied behavior analysis and generalized classrooms. He is also a passionate writer, and he's been doing a ton of production writing on Odyssey network, and there's some really good stuff that Mario has been writing. Now, Mario was referred to me by our good friend, Steve Sullivan, a gentleman. We have an episode of his on this podcast. So if you haven't listened to What It Takes to Be a Gentleman, go check that episode out. But for now, we're going to have a cool conversation with Mario. Mario, thank you so much for taking the time to come out to the podcast and speak with us. And congratulations on finishing college.
Well, hello, Junaid. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. And Steve is a close personal friend of mine. So, yeah, he really helped open up a lot of doors for me.
That's amazing. He is an awesome gentleman, and he's just got good things to say about all of us. I love what he's doing. So tell us your version, or tell us a version of your journey that no one's heard of before. And I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people, and you've kind of have a go-to introduction, or stuff like that you tell people. And you have been writing for quite some time, so I'm sure you have an audience built up around that. So tell us a version of your journey that no one's heard of before.
Well, I'm a creative. I'm that rarity, and that's kind of the root cause of why and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout everything, I was that overly excited, hyperactive kid. So honestly, no one really knows why I create, but it goes back to all of that, where I wasn't understood and I didn't really know why, because again, I was a kid. So I just used to, curl up and just write things out, not just for school, but just write things out and create all these different things in these different worlds because I was understood there. And then as I grew up, I realized, hey, listen, all these things that I'm writing, these are like real life experiences pretty much. And as you mentioned, like kaleidoscopic view, it's what I mean by that, everything's more colorful, everything's more it's different, it's outside the box compared to what society wants you to think. So I kind of implement all that in different ways where I'm entertaining and yet I'm also challenging my readers to see things and force them to get out of their comfort zone. So throughout everything, I'm all about just waking people up.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what I'm about, waking people up.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Advocating for important issues, but in a colorful twist.
So what's one issue that's top of mind for you day after day?
Oh, that's brilliant. That would be mental health. Mental health issues, mental health advocacy, mental illnesses, and that's some pretty powerful stuff, I know. And I've been asked so many times, why mental health? Like there's so many other genres, other niches. Well, the way that I see it, our mental health is underrated, and it's
Absolutely.
not even, yeah, it's underrated, and people don't like to speak about it, let alone think about it,
Hmm.
unless unfortunately something big happens that you hear in the news, and that's when everyone starts talking about it again. But yet they just put on another band-aid, and that's not cool because we're gonna be running around in the same filthy water. Nothing's being filtered out, and we're not getting to the root cause as to why we act about certain things. And then that's where I come in. I have a video and a written mental health series where I'm talking about these things, I'm writing about these different things. And like I said, I add that colorful touch to it where I literally bring a disorder, an illness, or even just some realm within mental health to life. And through that, people understand it that much more. And not just as a writer, but as a sufferer as well. Like I mentioned, ADHD and stuff like that. Like I know how it is to be invisible because I've been invisible due to
Yeah.
all that. So I I'm giving a voice to the the oppressed, the silent, and those I feel like they don't deserve to voice
Hmm.
who they are. Mhm.
No, that's a very, very important topic. Mental health is huge because, right, everybody can notice when it's health related, physical health, right? It's visible, and hence people talk about physical health. Like if you're obese,
Yep.
if you're, not gaining weight, if you're not gaining muscle, you
Yep.
have other disabilities. Well, mental health, it should have the same level of attention paid to it.
Mhm.
Recently, I watched a movie called Wonder Park, and
Ooh.
in it, it touches on the mental health portions of it, of human emotions, because in
Mhm.
the movie, and if you haven't seen it, um, they focus on the part of, let's say, somebody's sick and they have to go away for a while. Well, now it depends on how long they've gone away, but as a child, you feel that separation, and there's ton of activities that we do with our loved ones, and if they are not present, we're not able to do those activities anymore, and we tend to go away in a dark place, which starts destroying our core, destroying, some of the things that makes the creative stuff happen. And so it had a really nice view of around mental health and how it affects our behavior, as well as, um, it either enables us to be social versus be secluded and want to find isolation.
Yeah, definitely. You hit it right on the head there.
Yeah.
But just a minor tweak, I would say, personally, mental health should be as important, if not even more important,
Hmm.
because the way that I see it, and there's a metaphor that I've actually developed about it as I was going through all this all this thinking and writing and stuff. The mind, the way that I see, is a CEO. The CEO is the boss. It's the leader of a company, right?
Hmm.
So that is your mental health. That is your willpower, mind over matter.
Yeah.
Now, the employees will actually be your physical health, your diet, your working out, all that stuff, right? But
Mm.
now, explain to me what happens when you don't feel as motivated to exercise or to do something physically.
Yeah.
You give up. Your mind says, don't do it, don't worry about it. Now, this fits in brilliantly when you think of work, when you think of a company, because
Mhm.
without someone being there, and I mean like an empathetic, real, like friendly boss that cares about their workers and getting everything out ethically, the company won't work well.
Mhm.
It won't work well. Everything is like a conveyor belt. And when you think of the body, you got sensory and motor pathways. So without the brain, your mental health saying, hey, listen, this is what has to get done, it doesn't carry forth. And therefore, the company doesn't fulfill what they need to fulfill.
Mm.
Now, that makes sense to me because
Yeah,
it just helped me, really put a lot of things together. But if it doesn't make sense to you, or if I need to explain a little bit better, please let me know. But that's
absolutely.
something that I've created, and it helped me. It really helped me get in touch with how the world sees health in general, whether it be mental or
Mhm.
physical, direct, indirect. So I mean, that's just my little crazy tidbit over there.
No, I think it's very accurate um, in any respect. You need an engine, you need a decision matrix
Mhm. Yes.
to say, "Hey, this what needs to be done." And if that decision matrix is corrupted, we're gonna have
Yes.
all sorts of problems.
Hmm. You're
Very nice. So, tell us a little bit about how you view the world through the kaleidoscope vision. Because if I've seen anything through a kaleidoscope, you're just multiplying the same image in all different angles, right? And so how does that
Yes.
help you, see the world?
Well, not every kaleidoscope is the same. We all know that. They all have
Mhm.
different shapes, designs, and colors. But again, the way that I how can I say it? I was just born just looking through a different lens. I just saw everything different. I I just understood people on a much deeper level, on emotional level. So that kind of helped me get to how I see things.
Yeah.
And then the way that I was raised with immigrant backgrounds, not me personally, but like my family, my grandparents, my parents, and stuff. So I was raised where everything it's I need to be responsible for my actions. I need to be mature,
Yeah.
and, but yet I was raised in a in a country where all that is kind of um, a bit laxed. So I use all that, and then me dealing with my mental health issues, my learning disabilities, and then it really helped me be humble. It became humble because I was able to take a step back and see how much people are really suffering in their own lives, the masks that they wear, and this is a little kid realizing these things. Like I don't know, like 10 years old, 11 years old, even younger. Why is that person acting that way? And
Yeah.
then I've reflected, and then I'll be drawing pictures or writing something. Wow, like this could possibly be why, and and that's where another branch of my writing, and then it went into this automatic perspective where okay, everything is involved with logic and emotion, and everything has these different colors and shades, and yet we're not really owning all of it. We're still kind of suppressing that. So my view is just let everything come out. Just express it the way that you need to express it, whether it be complete nonsense to someone or not. But that is how you are. That is
Yeah.
what you are, and as a person, and that should not be taken lightly. It should be treated with respect. So the core, or I guess the core word there is just, or the two core words would be happiness and strength. Just be happy with who you are and
Mhm.
just follow through with it with all the strength that you can, because that is, you're on the way to your strongest version that way. Just own who you are. And me, I'm a rarity. I've been told by so many people, like you're
Mhm.
not, like the way you are isn't that common. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was a little taken aback by that. What do you mean? Like, oh, the way you think, the way you talk, the way you, I don't see anything odd about it. I see, it's a little odd how you think that is. So people tend to think in black and white, and I just think in different colors.
Mhm.
That everything has different shades, different meaning. Everything's a spectrum. Just my vision.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. You got to have the ability to see past the black and white, right?
Mhm.
And I think one of the reasons why people might have a black and white vision versus a colorful one might be their experiences growing up. Like how, right? So, how much of it is dependent on what school you went to or what kind of friends you had or lack of friends at all. And that's really interesting. Either you're an observer or you're the the actor.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's correct.
Because I find myself that I've been an observer for a very long time, and I don't know. I mean, I have very different experiences as well, right? So, and I like to think that, or I like the idea of figuring things out and see the inner workings, like the clockwork. Like, oh, you turn this gear and everything else turns, and how those inner workings work. So that's one of my favorite things to look at. And that's why I find these journeys for my guests on Hacks and Hobbies so important, because it helps me understand other people. It also helps me understand myself.
That's great. And unfortunately, I'm glad that you're doing that. A lot of
Mm.
people, they don't. Either they're too scared or it's taboo or whatever it may be, but they're they're not allowing themselves to move forward.
Yeah.
They're still sleeping, in other words. They're still following along with everything. They're sleeping. They're
Mhm.
not waking themselves up.
Yeah. You ever seen the movie Garden State?
I haven't, no.
Hmm.
I heard of it, but I haven't
Okay.
watched it.
Well, it's a little older movie, I guess. I don't know what old is, but in the movie, it talks about the same, right? If I can just pull up the movie. Um, so in it, the protagonist, he loses his mom, and it might have been at a some time ago when that happened, but he's been living on drugs, or he's basically, is numb to everything. And for the longest time, like, he didn't realize what was going on. And at some point he opens up, and it was an interesting movie, all around mental health. And my good friend Mike Graham, he's got a podcast called Pop Psych 101, where they
Yeah.
talk about mental health, and they talk about how it is represented in popular culture. May it be
Hmm.
movies, TV shows, comics, cartoons, because it's always there. It's pretty interesting. But this movie also, touches those points about being asleep, right? So when you mention, a lot of people, they're asleep because they don't want to feel the feelings, right? They don't want to have the feelings.
Yep.
They just want to go through and, go through life and be a robot. Because, to tell you the truth, it's easier when you don't have the feelings, but a lot of the times it's the wrong kind of things that you get into.
Hmm.
So,
Yep.
I also spoke with my good friend Ian Tolson, and he mentioned that he was diagnosed, and with ADHD, I believe, and he was medicated, and which totally screwed up his teenage years. And it took him a long time to come around and have that drug out of his system
Mm.
completely, because it takes time. So, Do you have any
Yep.
experience or knowledge into those kind of things? I don't know if
Yes, I do.
it's related.
I do actually. Well, first of all, that podcast that you mentioned, I love it. You recommended it to me. It's brilliant. I listen to it all the time. So
Mhm.
thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
uh, but yes, I just don't have ADHD. I also have OCD,
Mhm.
and if you have OCD, you're going to have ADHD pretty much. But
Mhm.
I was medicated. I was medicated for OCD,
Mhm.
and again, like you said with your friend, my my younger years, I believe it was middle school and early high school.
Mhm.
It was it was terrible
Yeah.
because getting the right dosage, the right type of medication, and just hormones and all that other stuff. It was nuts.
Yeah.
It really was. It was nuts. And seeing all these different psychiatrists, I didn't vibe with this one, or this one was just like it's a whole process.
Mhm.
It's a process, and you go through another process, and then you actually have to live your life. It's crazy. So the way that I say in, within my video series, listen, if you
Mhm.
need to get medicated,
Yeah.
get medicated, but that
Mhm.
shouldn't be the first thing that you try. Definitely
Yeah.
go. Definitely talk to someone. Definitely talk to someone. If you have to talk to a psychiatrist, talk to a psychiatrist. And
Mhm.
if medication is on the table, think about it. But it's not do all and be all.
Yeah.
It's just an option.
Mhm.
But medication for me, it did help in the long run, but it
Mhm.
was just getting there. The process was crazy for me, but
Yeah.
I remember I don't even know when. Like it almost feels like I woke up one day and I just didn't need it anymore. I was completely fine. I've been off medication for I'll say more than 6 years now, like five,
Mhm.
6 years, and I
Nice.
don't need it. I
Yeah.
don't need it, and it's not. And again, for me, it's going to be different compared to someone else, compared to your friend.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's really about the individual. Again, it's all about how bad you want it, like how bad you really want to change. Because again, the medication is just a tool. The talking is just a tool. You have
Yeah.
to put things into practice, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah,
Very
and
cool. Yeah.
yep,
I mean, I just looked up some OCD medication. There's so many different versions of it. It's
yep.
like, oh my God. And that's what you're mentioning. You're going through the process of trying each one. Oh, is this working? Is this working? And that's what the doctors are doing, right? They don't know what's going to work for who. So
Yep.
they'll go through this series of testing, like, oh, this is not working. Let's try a different one. Kind of like Thomas Alva Edison. Oh, these 10,000 methods didn't make this light bulb, but at least you didn't
Yep.
have to go to that many, medication. But again, you're right. You've got to first get that talking out. You got to be able to talk about what's bothering you.
hmm And
And
ultimately,
then,
that's the first step, I would say.
yeah, yeah.
That's really ultimately the first step. And I think where we both meant by robotic and emotionless, I
Hmm.
don't mean it in a sense in a derogatory, like
No,
in
not
a
at all.
derogatory way, because I'm not saying I'm better than anyone, because clearly I have my own demons,
Hmm.
things to work on. It's just as a culture, we're very timid. We want to be brave about certain things, and we're engaging in certain things, but we're doing so in the wrong manner. Like we want to feel things, but yet we feel in ways that are even more destructive, like such as like sexuality. Like you want to feel emotion, you want to feel love, you want to feel passion, but yet there's pornography, there's all these different things.
Hmm.
And again, those are just other traps.
Yeah,
You want to be happy, and then what, and then some people, they go into drinking a little too much or taking drugs. So it's really, we really need to be careful. And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone. Just we need to be careful.
yeah,
Wake ourselves up a little bit, and just realize what is hurting us and what's not hurting us. We need to be
yeah.
a bit more proactive in terms of, you know, how we make ourselves truly live instead of just surviving ultimately. So
Absolutely. And the other issue that a lot of people face is, commercialization and what's available on television and what they're teaching you. That also affects people, right? You're
yeah.
bombarded with so much advertisement, and it doesn't affect to adults as much as it affects children, right? Because they are sponges. They are absorbing
Mhm.
everything they see. I mean, I have a 1-year-old daughter, and she's mimicking everything that she's seeing that her older brothers are doing. And I tell my sons, you got to watch what you're doing in front of her. She's gonna learn it, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I don't want that. I don't want her to learn." Like, well, that's her default mode right now. you know, that is that is the one way she's gonna learn everything and grow up and learn how to talk and everything. It's not like you turn off that feature. We're not robots. Like, stop learning today.
Believe me, if we could do that, and I think many years from now, it's going to be something like that. But unfortunately, that is just classic conditioning in
Hmm.
psychology. It's monkey see, monkey do,
Yeah.
and excuse me, as you said with the advertisements, we're so numb to violence, to those very intimate type of advertisements and
Yeah.
scenes and everything. And it's even more so with Generation Z, the generation that's the current generation now after the
Hmm.
millennials. We it's yeah, it, it's crazy. And I have a younger sister. She's 15 now, but when she was a kid, I remember some things that I know. Again, I was this hyperactive kid, so there's certain things that I remember doing, and then she started doing it because she used to see it all the time.
Hmm.
Nothing bad, but
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. And then I tried, trying to reverse it. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. And I didn't
No.
understand it then. So I was like, so, you know, what,
Absolutely.
whatever it is. But yeah, most definitely, most definitely. It's
Mm, the one thing that you mentioned that, maybe in the future we'll have the ability to stop learning. But the funny thing is, we don't need that ability to be enabled in our brain. It's a human choice to stop learning or start learning. And you'll see a lot of people that are out there doing the same thing over and over and over. It's because they've stopped learning. They've found that comfort zone. They don't want to get out of it. And it's just crazy to see, like, wow, that's a choice that people have made to live that way and not welcome change, because that's something that's constantly happening. And so people will, they won't change their habits for 10 years at a time. It's because that's what that's what they've learned to do, and that's where they live. And what's really crazy is that we default fall into that mode, and
Mhm.
then we look around us and you see my kid, your kids are growing up, like, wow, I remember them just being born and now they're 10 years old, or now they're 20 years old, or kids around us. And it's really interesting how, like, our mind speeds up time or slows time down. I don't know which one it is.
I would say maybe even both,
Yeah.
honestly. Or it's different in different situations for different people for different reasons.
Yeah.
But going back to my example with the medication, like
Hmm.
I said, it feels as if one day I just woke up, I blinked, and I I was better. Better in a sense where I've made so much progression towards, beating the compulsions, the anxiety, the obsessions for OCD, being extremely hyper with
Hmm.
the ADHD. I was like, wow, like how did that happen? And I remember talking about all those like crappy times where I couldn't even go to sleep because of the insomnia and this. So I it's it's nuts. And then looking at my sister, like, wow, she's 15 now. And then,
Hmm.
wow, I graduated college. Wow. I writing my first piece for my mental health series. Now I'm at like 7, 8. I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
this is nuts. It's everything, all my progression from the past few months. It's crazy. It
Yeah.
really is. I would say it's both. It could be both for different reasons. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nuts.
It's crazy. That's pretty insane, right? Life is pretty amazing. I mean, um, through through no miracle of our own, we're given this opportunity to make a change in this world, right?
Mhm.
And it's amazing how we go about doing that versus living it the way we want to. And the one thing that we all can do is, so I was talking to a good friend of mine, Greg Roulette, and he said, we are so used to the scrolling. We're the scrolling society right now. All
Yep.
we're doing is scrolling LinkedIn, scrolling Facebook, scrolling Instagram, scrolling Facebook. Everything we're just scrolling, and we're basically consuming content. And what you and I are doing are creating content, are you know engaging with
Yep.
people. And one of the quickest way to engage is to just have a comment, just do a comment, just write a comment on whatever you're consuming, because now you're engaging with the
Hmm.
content. Now you're using your mind in a different way and becoming a creator rather than a consumer.
Yep. That's true. It's important
Awesome.
to have a balance of both.
Yes, it's important. All right. So let's get into some of the questions that are related to some hobbies and life hacks and whatnot.
All
What
right.
is one hobby that you wish you got into but never got the chance to?
I would say it would be drawing. Well, drawing more. I eventually just stopped. And because like I've mentioned with high school and I'm sorry, middle school, during those times where I was taking medication, those were
Mhm.
also the hardest times from my schooling as well, in terms of social aspects and social expectations
Yeah.
and everything. So I'll be listening to music, I'll be drawing, and I'll just be venting. And then I eventually
Mhm.
transitioned a bit more with the writing, because I
Mhm.
found that medium helped me express myself in a way that really made sense to me and to its fullest extent.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I definitely wish I could, or I wish I stood with the art a little bit
Mhm.
more.
But in one way or another, you are still doing creating art with writing.
Yep,
Mhm.
it's it's more of the mind's picture, the
Right.
the lyrical. You're hearing it instead of actually seeing it expressed. So yes, it's a different form of it,
Yeah.
definitely.
There um there was a website, I can't remember, but you could essentially write your scene and it creates a picture for you. It's
Uh,
really powerful. It'll come up in my head as I think through it. Uh,
that's awesome though.
it is. I couldn't really create anything because it was pretty. Uh, just gonna. I'll let you know when I think of it.
Well, now I'm curious, so
Yeah, no,
it's all
absolutely.
right. It's all
Um,
right.
and we'll go to the next question, and then I'll look it up. Okay,
Not a problem.
what is your favorite movie or TV show?
That is kind of a lengthy answer because it really
It's all good.
depends.
Mm-hmm.
When I do watch TV, it's like football, like soccer and stuff like that, and superhero shows, superhero movies. But
Mm-hmm.
my all-time favorite movie is the for Italian film, "Life Is Beautiful," about World War II.
Mm-hmm.
That it's his father that was taken away, him and his son, because they're Jewish at the time. We all know, but about history. and just the way that he made the whole experience for his son,
Mm-hmm.
where his son was, I don't know how old he was. He had to be like maybe like 8, perhaps,
Yeah.
and he was young, and he thought the whole thing was a game for his birthday. And his father just really took care of his mental space,
Mm-hmm.
even though he was scared. And they survived the capture and everything. World War II finished,
Mm-hmm.
and just the whole message of it just a parent's love, how strong your will is, your mental capacity can be, and just our will for survival. Just
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I can't say I can say so many things about it. Just it's one of my favorite movies ever.
Nice. So that, so now that's a pretty cool movie. I'll have to check it out. Hopefully, the website that I mentioned that will help you create a picture with your words. It's called wordseye.com, and you can type in any text and hit display, and it will create what it thinks your words mean. So it's pretty
Oh,
interesting.
that's
Let's
really
just check
cool.
it out. Wordseye.com.
Oh, I'm gonna check it
Awesome.
out.
Awesome. All right. So you told us your favorite movie. What if you got to play a character in a movie? Which movie and character would you pick?
Uh, wow, which character? Well, I would say I would say a superhero film,
Mm-hmm.
and I would pick Wonder Woman
Mm-hmm.
just to be part of that because it goes back to Greek mythology, and I'm like it's one of my uh, core memories of actually learning something that really spawned into
Mm-hmm.
greater research and greater interest in writing and stuff. So I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, she's always been one of my favorite superheroes,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
So who would you
yeah.
be? You would be. Would you be
Be
Wonder Woman or the sidekick?
Wonder Woman. Well, I can't be Wonder Woman because
Yeah.
that's actually no. You know what? I can be Wonder Woman, but it's a whole, I guess, that gender binary that people have a
Mm-hmm.
problem with. I will be
Right.
her sidekick, I guess. The movie was fantastic.
Yeah.
I
The
loved
movie's
it. I'll be her sidekick.
the movie was good. The new one was really good. Awesome.
It was really good.
So the next question basically dials into it. Who's your favorite superhero? And you've already answered.
I have a few favorite superheroes. Wonder
Okay.
Woman is just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have the Flash. He's one of my other favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Green Lantern and Superman. Those are like my definite favorite ones. I'm more of a DC fan than a Marvel fan.
Yeah,
Sorry for the deal.
I sensed that. So, being a DC fan, have you seen the animated series of um, Green Lantern?
Yeah, yeah.
There's two series. There's two
That was
seasons, and then they cancel
that
after that.
that was the CGI version,
Yeah,
right?
that's the CGI.
That was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
kind of like yeah. That was when I was I think in high school when
Mm-hmm.
it came out and finished. I liked it. I looked forward to it every Saturday.
Yeah, it was really good. I just got
It
my
was
son
good.
hooked. I just had my son hooked up to it, so he's liking it much too.
That's good. Make sure that you get him into the animated series of Justice, Young Justice. That was a
I
really
think
good
he's seen
series.
some of that Young Justice, but I'm gonna wait for him to get a little older.
A little bit older, most definitely, but that was a really great series.
That was a
Really
good
great
one.
series.
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
nerding out right now.
I know, dude. I love movies and comic superheroes and whatnot. Maybe we can talk about it all day long. I'm a huge MCU
Most
fan.
definitely.
I'm a fan of both parties, and
Right.
when I first came to the United States, I didn't know much about Superman and
Mhm.
Batman and whatnot, and at that time we had the Batman series with Michael Keaton and
Yes.
Val Kilmer, George Clooney, and Schwarzenegger playing Mr. Freeze. So those were the Batman series movies that I grew up on. Well, I was way past growing up. It was past my teen. Like I was in my 20s, and that's when I
That's
was introduced to that.
that's all right.
Yeah,
It entered your life when it needed to enter your life,
exactly,
and they were
exactly.
brilliant.
They were
They really
brilliant. Yeah,
were. They were brilliant. They really were.
yeah. Sweet. All right, last question.
Yep.
If you were a board game, what would it be?
Oh, your board game.
Yeah.
Hmm. This may tickle some of your viewers' fancy there, but
Mhm.
because you looked at it as boring, I guess. But I would say
Sure.
Monopoly.
Monopoly. Okay.
But why Monopoly?
Why?
Not because of the cool pieces. I'm always the card piece when I play. Always, I will fight you for that. But that or the dog. But
Sure.
I would say because when I was a kid, or when we are kids, we play Monopoly. We
Yeah.
don't see it as something that's pretty much real. Now that I'm in my 20s and I'm going to all these professional settings and business and stuff. Monopoly is a real life lesson if you think about it. You always need to have money on hand. The
Absolutely.
the most expensive asset isn't always the best choice at the moment, and passive income it's important as well. Why
Hmm.
should you only make money when you go past go? You should make money legally, of course, through a time and through hard work and everything. So Monopoly is for me it's a metaphor and is a route to my youth where I wanted to cheat. I always wanted to cheat. I was always sneaking like a few $100 bills in my sleeve. And now if
Oh,
you do that, so
you get your hands cut,
okay,
man.
I know I'm getting handcuffed. I know, but just to finish it up, I guess it's for me. It's innocence and
Hmm.
what we want life to be and what it isn't, and the real talk. You get that smack in the face once you hit a certain age, and
Yeah,
wow. So it's pretty much it's just learning how
it is.
life is
Absolutely.
and how you could hopefully morph things a little bit, and that's what I
Exactly.
want to do. But yep.
Nice, nice. Very
So
cool.
Monopoly.
Monopoly. Got another Monopoly guy here. All right. So, Mario,
Yep.
where can my audience find you?
They are they are. I'm sorry. I am pretty much everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn as Mario Castelli,
Mhm,
Instagram MC Writes,
mhm.
Facebook, Twitter. I also have a freebie for your viewers as
Nice.
well. It's my top three. Yep, it's my gift to you guys. My top three writing tips that I always use, and
Mhm.
there may or may not be a bonus in there. Just hint, hint, and stuff. But
Awesome.
yep. So,
Cool.
yep,
Well, I'll be sure to include your links to on the show notes as well as the special link that the audience can go and get some free writing tips from Mario.
yep.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
your
much.
time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care.
Cheers.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the episode. Thanks so much for listening to our guest on this episode. Please send me an email at junaid@hacksandhobbies.com to tell me what you loved about our guest today. You could find links mentioned in this episode on the hacksandhobbies.com website.